Hello and welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our weekly reality wrap-up show for week 7 of Survivor and the Amazing Race. Here at the middle of November, middle November, whatever, 2023. Here in the fall of 2023, we're going to talk all about it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PaperMillProductions. Email the show directly, papermillproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post, tell your friends, and we will go ahead and dive in here. Obviously, getting us out much later, a couple weeks behind now, unfortunately, with everything. But we had our vacation, and we were trying to get out before the vacation. Couldn't do that, so now we're going to be a little behind. We're going to try to get these out to you, get caught up as soon as possible. But like I said, we're about 2 weeks behind as of right now, unfortunately. But we're going to do what we can, so to try to get these out. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Like I said, you can like our Facebook page, papermillproductions@gmail.com, and everything. So if you're subscribed, you'll still get this when we get it out, so you don't have to search for it, and we can go from there. So Jessica will join us shortly to talk about the Amazing Race. We're going to talk about Survivor first, and then jump over to the Amazing Race, and then obviously within a couple days, the plan is to get the next episodes out and go from there. So obviously a lot going on, very busy with everything, so I apologize that we're getting out so late, but like I said, we'll get it out to you, and if you're binging or watching later or whatever, these will be a good companion piece for that. So this episode started off obviously with the return to tribal council after the vote, and this is the episode here where we do our they have been doing a lot where they unmerge the tribes. They've been breaking into 2 teams. This one had a little bit of an added wrinkle, I guess you could say, because the 2 tribes going to vote, the jury is not established yet, because there's only been 6 people voted out, and obviously after the most recent vote with Jay getting voted out after Caleb played the idol, things get a little bit complicated. So they go ahead and they split the tribe. They split the tribe back now into 2 teams of there's only 12 left, so 2 teams of 6, and then they go ahead and do a individual immunity challenge / group immunity challenge. Basically, the individual immunity, whoever wins immunity from each group of 6 wins immunity for that vote. But also, the person who outlasts the other one gets a reward, which we have seen before. But also, they get to go tribal council last, which makes that person get, in essence, one step further. And onto the jury, where the person voted out first doesn't make jury, which is just a stupid twist. It's so dumb. It makes no sense. You're on the merge, but you're not the jury, and now you're at the merge. So you're not merged yet because you merged, but you're not at the merge. So you didn't make the merge. So now you made the merge, but now you're not making the jury, even though you probably outlasted some other people in the challenge, but you got voted out before the person who arbitrarily got voted out after you based on nothing you did. So now you don't make the jury. It's just it made so little sense, so dumb. If you're gonna do this now, I guess do it now. But have them both make the jury. Have neither one make the jury. Have them all make the jury. Who the hell cares? You had it before. We had 17-person jury. What's the difference? Or whatever, 16-person jury, whatever it is. Just dumb. I just hate it. I hate this. You didn't make the merge. Oh, you didn't make the merge. They're on the same beach, right? They made the merge. Shut up. It's just so trying to make it more twisty and complicated and more nuanced. It's just dumb. Like, just who cares? Who really cares? They're gonna say, so the person voted out here, even Jay, right? Jay got voted out last week. Jay technically didn't make the merge. So she went out pre-merge. Well, you merged everybody on the same beach from 18 to 18 people down to 13 people, and they all on the same beach, and they voted somebody out, and she got 1 vote. I mean, technically no votes, but the idol got played on the revote, and then she got voted out on the revote. Just stupid. But they split the tribes back up, and that is where we pick up. So the first team was Bruce, Kendra, Kelly, Drew, Sifu, and Emily. And they obviously are competing in the immunity challenge. And of course, I like the unmerging. I said I like that part of it. I don't like the extra, you don't make the jury, you don't make the merge. Shut up. I've always said, you could do, I would be a fan of a, I don't know if you've mentioned this before on my show. I feel like I have. a Survivor no world season, right? Or Survivor, instead of one world, it's the opposite where there are no tribes, and then every week you just randomly divide people into tribes, and that we have to kind of build bonds across all the different people, and whatever. I think that'd be a cool twist. I don't know why Survivor hasn't done that yet. But obviously those 6 are there competing against the other 6, and then obviously the other side, Jake, Caleb, D, Julie, or Mama J, I guess they call her, Julie, Jake, Caleb, D, Julie, and the 2 others who are escaping me at the moment, Austin and whoever else, doesn't matter. So either way, those are the new tribes. The immunity challenge comes down to Kelly winning it for her team, so she's immune, but she actually does not win the overall immunity challenge. She actually falls off, and so the other side wins the overall immunity with reward, and that person who gets voted out that time makes the jury, whereas the person who gets voted out in Kelly's group does not make the jury. So that's kind of where that all comes down to. So they're going to they get split off into separate beaches to go talk about what they want to do and what the vote's going to be. And it's pretty interesting, overall the dynamic. Oh yeah, Katurah is obviously the other one on the other side, with Bruce. So, and obviously Katurah, Bruce, there's lots of headbutts there, and there's constant disagreement. And Kelly's again always one trying to keep the peace there, in this case. But so anyways, so they have to decide which way they want to go. Sifu has a bad feeling it's gonna be him, but he's trying to save himself, and he doesn't really. It's really hard to say what his actual plan is. It seemed pretty obvious that it was going to be him. Again, it was, he's basically trying to save himself and make it through one more vote. But again, he hasn't gotten much attention. He seems like a super nice guy. I feel like he is basically same as Jam Jam. Gym owner is supposed to a barbershop owner, salon owner. But he's, not as good at the game, but also a lot more friendly, a lot more likable, than Jam Jam, I feel like. But similar type of arc, I guess, similar archetype person. And it didn't get a ton of airtime, didn't get a ton of screen time. Every time he did, it was just like him, pretending to be a rock star or doing his stuff. And I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, he talk about his gym and his his jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. And fun guy, something a cool guy to talk to. Just really had no clue what was going on in the game, and it was pretty obvious. So no shock. The votes come down 5-1 on him. He's voted out, and it doesn't make the jury. Is out here. At the merge, pre-merge, pre-jury. I guess you just call pre-jury. And Sifu was eliminated there. Not a whole lot of drama going into it. It wasn't really like, there really wasn't a second option. Really. I guess Drew was another option, I guess, but, nobody was really looking, anywhere else. It was obviously, the edit tried to tell you it might have been somebody else, but no, it was always going to be Sifu for sure. Anyway, so yeah, the other target was Bruce, and again, it really, other than him being annoying, there really hasn't got much of a storyline. But again, it was targeted. Drew, I thought maybe it could have been Drew because he was, kind of on his own. Kelly won the immunity, so she's safe. D and Austin and Julie are on the other side. So it's like not going to be, he's really kind of by himself on his alliance, and he wasn't really aligned with Sifu. So he's fine with giving it to Sifu. He's like, whatever, not me, and I wasn't really that close with him anyways. And he's also thinking about, if I need to go safely without power, I can always do that too. But the other target, possible target was Bruce, and Emily and Bruce kind of talked a little bit, and they just still don't really trust each other. But the vote came down on Sifu. Sifu was voted out, and that's that. The other side, of course, is a little more interesting. It's they wanted to kind of go after Dee, I guess, but she won the immunity, so they wanted to kind of break her and Austin up a little bit, and Julie. So Caleb suggests they go after Julie, and it looks like Julie is an option. And of course, as soon as they get back from tribal, the edit shows me, Julie hasn't had a ton of content, but as soon as they come back from the immunity challenge, Julie is the first one who gets confessionals. She has to get a bunch of confessionals. So they're setting her up as a possible other, option, as the other option. And of course, Caleb is still there, and he got all those votes last time. So it's like, well, Caleb is one option, and Julie's going to be the other option. And I felt it was going to be Caleb, but the way they're setting up Julie, it could be Julie. But ultimately, again, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth. And it's going to come down to, okay, Jake wants to keep Caleb in the game. Katurah is with Caleb. And then, it's Dee, Austin, and Julie. And I really didn't feel like anybody was going to flip on Julie. I thought they were talking about, it's going to be 3-3, we're going to go to Rocks, and we're going to do what we need to do. And, Austin's not going to... and then the plan, of course, was Austin's not going to flip on... Austin's not going to go to Rocks for Julie. And, of course, if they go to Rocks, Dee has immunity, Julie wouldn't have to pick a rock, and Caleb wouldn't have to pick a rock. So it'd be only one picking rocks would be Katurah, Jake, and Austin. And so obviously those three have a 1 and 3 shot going home if they go to rocks. So, and not for nothing, but Caleb's super charismatic. But I'm from my perspective, there's no way I'm going to rocks for Caleb, or Julie for that matter. But at least from Austin's perspective, at least he was aligned with Julie. If you're gonna do that, at least you're aligned with Julie. You can, and he has an idol, so you also could play his idol, I guess. If he's scared. That has a full idol because he didn't vote last time on the Caleb vote. Nobody realized that there's only 11 votes, and he didn't vote, so he's got now the full force of an idol. He could use it if needed. Obviously he doesn't want to, and if he thinks it, either way, and if it goes to a tie vote, if it's 3-3, he can't use his idol to save himself at that point at the rock draw or anything like that. So he'd go out with it in his pocket if he goes out. From Katurah's perspective, I'm kind of like, Caleb's great. Bruce doesn't like him, so I guess that's, makes me want to like him. But ultimately, I'm not put my neck out there for Caleb, and even Jake shouldn't either. I mean, Jake, he was kind of on the outs. He's kind of afraid of the girls' alliance. I guess that's kind of his thing. He's afraid of the women's alliance. So he's trying to keep Caleb in the game to have him kind of be a shield. But I don't think anybody's really coming for Jake, and I think he can kind of sneak through for a little bit longer. So it's a risky move, in other words, to go to rocks, 3-3 tie, go to rocks, to protect Caleb and or even in this case, Julie. So they're talking about it, and Caleb comes up with a plan, which, again, could work, but his plan is to, to tell Katurah that Bruce has an idol, to build trust with her. And he says that, hey, they found it when everybody was digging in the shelter, when Bruce was digging in the shelter. They told you that, Jake said he lost his ring or whatever, or his necklace or whatever it was. And so everybody was looking for it there, but it was actually just Bruce digging for the idol. And they didn't want you to know. And he's like, so I wanted to build trust with you. I want you to know that we're on the same page. They didn't want anybody to tell you, but I wanted to tell you because I believe in, I want to work with you. And in theory, that's a good idea because you're trying to build trust with her. but you're also kind of telling her that the people she's been working with, she can't trust. Right? So that's not necessarily a good move because, yes, you're maybe building some trust with her, but you also are kind of in on it. And you're telling her that the rest of her allies can't be trusted. So now you're expecting her to vote with you, which is fine, but also vote with Jake, and then ultimately Kelly and whoever else, who, and Kelly wasn't necessarily lying to her, but Kendra, whoever, the rest of her allies, quote unquote, were keeping her in the dark. So she wasn't really like Bruce, anyways. Jake, she wasn't really lying with; she was more lying with the girls, and if Caleb's lying, then he can't be trusted. You shouldn't work with him. If he's telling you the truth, the rest of your allies can't be trusted, and you need to form a new alliance anyways. So, and then Jake, of course, confirmed, yeah, we, blah, blah, blah. That, we were basically lying to you. I think it was too cute. I really think it was too cute of a move. I don't know if Kendra would have gone to Rocks, or should I say Katurah would have gone to Rocks for Caleb anyways. It makes less sense that way than for Austin to go to Rocks. But she gets the opportunity to make up her mind which way she wants to go. And ultimately she decides, the votes come in, it's 3 votes for Caleb, 2 votes for Julie, with 1 vote left. And it's Katurah's vote. And Katurah ultimately goes with a vote against Caleb, voting him out, making him the first member of the jury. So Sifu was out the first half, the first tribal. Caleb was out in the second tribal. Caleb's on the jury. Arbitrary and stupid that one's on the jury, one's not. The vote on the same episode makes no sense. Same day, even the vote on the same day within hours of each other. And I guess the good thing is they don't see who's on the jury. They don't see you guys vote out in the first tribal, so they don't see who's on the jury. So it doesn't. Sometimes that could affect. I can see how that could affect someone else's vote. It has happened where this person got voted out. So now we're gonna vote on this person. Because but they don't know who got voted out the first tribal. So that's one good thing. But it puts us down to 10 people left. The jury starts, and we go from there. But Caleb gets voted out, and again, I think Caleb was trying to be a little too cute and really shore up his trust with Katurah, which again makes sense. But to do so, he had to kind of throw the rest of her allies under the bus. And yes, he was starting to build trust with her, but that's definitely, when you throw that much, throw people on the bus like that, it's kind of concerning, to say the least. It's concerning. And now if I'm Katurah, I'm like, well, do I trust anybody? I don't. If Caleb's the only person I can really trust, I'm better off building new bonds with other people. Because if she can trust Caleb, that means she can't trust anybody else. Or if she can't trust Caleb, why keep him in the game? So, again, I think, he made a move. I don't know what really options he had, because if she's going to flip on him, she's going to flip on him. I think the best option would have been to try to pull somebody else away, try to make a relationship with Austin or whoever, or even try to get the vote onto Jake or Katurah. I think Jake would have been happy to vote for Katurah, to save Caleb. So I think if I'm Caleb, what I would have done instead is go to the old Rebas and say, look, we don't need Katurah in this game. I know he's lying with her or whatever, but to save himself, throw her on the bus. Jake would be for it. And, and you can kind of go from there. But not great. Not great move by Caleb, and he's out of the game now, unfortunately. And he's on the jury, and we'll go from there. So we'll go ahead and switch gears now and talk about the Amazing Race. Bring in Jessica to talk about that. And Jessica, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This was an episode of the Amazing Race. It was a fun episode. Let's go ahead and start with it. Anything you want to say before we get started?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's dive in. So this was one of those rare episodes of the Amazing Race, Jessica, if you may or may not know, that was over before it started.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So let's talk about what happened, and then we can kind of go through who had one of the biggest colossal F-ups in the history of Amazing Race. Okay, and we'll talk about what they did wrong, which was in this episode.
Everything.
Yes. Cool. So, what was supposed to happen this episode?
Well, they're supposed to go to Germany, which they all made it to Germany,
on
at
the
least.
same flight, yeah.
Frankfurt, yes, on the same flight. They were driving themselves this episode. First thing they had to do was find a ferry. They had to find the correct ferry. There were a couple different ferries. Mm-hmm. Some people struggled with that. on the ferry, they were supposed to exchange their €5 for old Witten, I think it was called.
It's old German money.
Yes, Witten. They were then supposed to take that Witten to a castle. In the castle...
He also had a roadblock.
Yeah, the castle's roadblock involving the Witten. They had to figure out was how many Witten equals something.
Yeah.
A bigger denominator of money. So they had to sort through their coins and figure out how many equals whatever the bigger one was. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
It was 15, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I think it was 15.
To the debt collector. Once they paid the debt collector, they got to rappel down, and they got to their next roadblock.
Yeah, the next clue, which happened to be a second roadblock, which the other member of the partnership had to do. And they said it was like the cool thing about this was there's like a lot of along the river, the Rhine. Mm-hmm. There were back in the day. There were castles, and there were basically people who would pirates or not pirates, but whatever you want to call them, would capture people and hold them hostage until they paid them money, and that's kind of what they're simulating with the Witten. And so then they had to do the second roadblock. The other person had to do, and what was that?
The next part, they had to go to a bridge that had lots of locks, basically like the bridge in France where everybody were to put a lock on. Yeah. They had to find the marked...
All replicated.
Yeah, I know. They had to find the marked locks from the race, and then the clue that they were received was it's the name of the oldest clone that was produced by the clone company in Cologne.
In Cologne, Germany.
I can say that, yes, Cologne, Germany. Basically, with that one, they had to ask a stranger on the bridge to give them the answer, pretty much. So once they had that, the code 4711 unlocked the lock, and then go get their next clue, which was a detour.
Yep, perfect. And I like you said, because obviously you're afraid about Rob being able to get the answer, because obviously he's gonna have to go up to somebody and try to sign or whatever. Thankfully, he got help.
Yeah, he could talk, but obviously people might not understand him as well or anything like that. Mm. Yes, and I realized as we're watching it, and then the person was giving Ashley the answer, and I said, "Did he hear it?" Not even thinking, so whatever. I'll admit I said that. That's okay. I'm allowed to have a dumb moment.
I wasn't gonna say it, but you did.
It was pretty funny though.
But he asked Ashley to help him, and she helped him.
Yeah, he pointed down, and she just wrote it down for him, which was really nice.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Yes, it was one of your many, not unintentionally funny moments, and I think it's like one of those things though. Like you didn't mean it. You're just like it's like when you're standing next to a blind person, something happens. You go, "You see that?"
Oh right.
It's not. You're not thinking that they're freaking. They can't.
Well, what do we say with Lola all the time? My sister's dog.
Oh yeah.
She does not have eyes anymore. Say, Lola, you gotta watch out. Yeah, well, she can't. So yeah, it just happens.
So, and so the interesting thing with the lock is it was another one of those challenges where, the later you get there, the further you have to walk to find your thing. Mm-hmm. Right. So.
Yeah. Yes and no, because some people are really struggling to find it. So I'd imagine they walked by him, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Certainly possible. And it was only on one side of the bridge, they said, so that was helpful too. They have to go on both sides or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
After the second roadblock, they had a detour, which was.
They did. I feel like we skipped something though.
We might have. I feel like there was something in between there.
There is. It was that carnival. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what point that carnival was.
Yeah, it was. I feel like.
Anyways, we'll just mention that first. So.
Was it between the?
I think it was between the detours. I'm pretty sure because I think the one was the carnival first, and then the next, the locks.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the carnival was basically just something fun. I feel like they had to ride a giant tricycle, basically one, and then the other person had to throw out roses to a crowd. Mm-hmm. And just, it was in a carnival. It looked like a lot of fun. It looked really funny.
Yeah, they rode their bike through an obstacle course, quote unquote, that just was balloons lining the road, or lining the path, and they had to just not run over the balloons.
Yeah, had to ride a bike through a course, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, right. But it looked fun. It looked like a good time.
Definitely.
And then it was the lock thing. Mm-hmm. And then it was a detour.
Yeah.
The detours were just for kicks or a matter of taste. Just for kicks. It's basically a giant dartboard for soccer balls, and you had to kick exactly 66 points with 4 balls. They made that look really confusing because they kept adding up without removing like Ashley and Todd when they were there, so it didn't make sense. But you had to get exactly 6 points within 4 soccer balls. You couldn't take it off and then keep redoing it. You had to do it in the 4.
Yeah, and there's each person to kick 2, like throwing darts.
Right. Then a matter of taste. They had to taste and identify 9 different mustards by the German name. So tasting it, learning the names, then going to do a blind taste test and naming them in German as they went along.
Yeah, exactly. Which one was easier?
Probably the soccer ball one. I don't know. No one really struggled with the mustard one, but I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was hard. It's hard to say. I mean, I feel like...
Probably the mustard one, though. I don't know. If you can't get the hang of kicking the ball where it needs to go, it could take a really long time.
Yeah, so I think you said it right, though. I think you nailed it when we watched it. You said, if you remember this, that... And I think a lot of teams, they didn't show how many times it took them to do it. The couple teams, they showed doing it more than once.
Right.
And other teams, they didn't show how many times it took them to do it.
Right.
But you said it, if you get it if you get it 2 or 3 times, and then like the 3rd or 4th time you're doing it, they're all gonna taste the same. It's gonna be, it's just gonna, you're gonna have the same taste in your mouth over and over again. If it's one super strong, you're not gonna be able to get rid of that taste, and it's just gonna be a kind of a repetitive thing. It's just gonna be really, really difficult at that point.
Restudying or rethinking about it after the fact too. I mean that, but you also got to look at appearance. So if you could memorize what it looked like at the same time, that also helps. So I think the mustard probably would have been the easiest one just because of that. And if you, like I said, you can't get a hang of the kicking the soccer ball, you have to rely on that other person to get 2.
You both have to be able to do it at least somewhat.
Right. So yeah, that would be the only thing. You can identify color and mustard seed and all that stuff.
Right. And I think the mustard actually was, I think the soccer one would have been a lot more fun. I'd like to do that just for S's and G's for kicks. I'd like to do that just for kicks at some point because it sounds like fun. Pardon the pun. But I think the easier one was the mustard one, especially because let's say your spices better than I do. Mm-hmm. You could do most of them, and I could just grab 1 or 2 and remember 2 of them, and you can remember the rest because you know them anyways.
Yeah, it's just the names would be the harder part, but just remembering the names, basically.
Yeah, for sure. So
I may be German, but I don't know German, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool, what else? From there it's the roadblock, right?
After it's pit stop.
Pit stop, yeah.
Yep.
From the detour to the pit stop.
Yep.
And who?
Das Schokoladen Museum. Schokoladen?
Yeah, it's the chocolate museum.
Yeah. Schokoladen.
Exactly.
Yep.
And who finished first?
Greg and John.
Yeah, once again, Greg and John. So I think there's a second win, maybe second in a row.
Yeah.
They're really starting to find a groove here.
I mean, this episode was definitely jumbled though, because they started first, they fell to like the back of the pack, and then ended in first. So
yeah, and the self-driving
people struggled.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. The self-driving, they got lost, and then I think somebody else was with them. Maybe
Robin and Chelsea followed them, or no? Yeah, they did follow them at some point.
But
they did. It wasn't the beginning, but they did follow them after they. Well, yeah, because everybody got in the same flight, so they showed everybody starting at the same time. So yeah, Robin and Chelsea followed them from when they got the cars.
Yeah, and then I think Garrett and Joel were kind of in the lead, and they kind of fell to the back of the pack.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. It was interesting, but yeah, the teams who made the right choices obviously got to the top, and there you go. So most of the teams, those teams who made the right choices. One team did not make the right choices. Mm-hmm. One team made a comedy of errors.
Yeah.
It's I said I got to be one of those episodes where I had a feeling it was going to happen that way. That everybody checks in and Phil's just like waiting for them at the, whatever, at one of the spots. I didn't think it'd be that early. Like they got through a roadblock and then they got to the carnival and were eliminated at the carnival.
Well, it's probably so freaking late.
It was. Oh, it was. And also, not for nothing, but can you imagine having to be at that carnival for like 17 hours, like going whenever it shows up? Like, I'd be like, the people have to go home at some point. You know what I mean? And the people on the bridge, just when we walk on that bridge at night to tell you what the answer is to the locks.
Well, I'm sure if it's been like an hour after the last team finished, like the second last team, they're done.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no point. I figure they got to get to a point where Phil can just meet them.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if they're a lot of times they'll show them finishing up, whatever. If they're close, whatever, they'll finish up and then get eliminated. But like a lot of times there's, oh my gosh, suspense, who's gonna get there first? In this case, it was no suspense. It was maybe suspense of who would finish first, but other than that,
they could barely get to the first task.
Right, exactly. And it was a mess. And they said they got Phil to a spot where they could just meet Phil. Phil could be, hey, you're here, and everybody else had checked in hours ago.
Right.
So very interesting. Who did something wrong, and what did they do wrong, and who got eliminated?
Who got eliminated?
Yes.
Andrea, is it Maliana?
Maliana and Andrea.
Yeah.
Team Philly.
First of all, they didn't even read their clue good enough to know that they were on the wrong ferry to begin with. And then, even though they got across the river, they knew they weren't where they needed to be, so they asked some people. The people pointed out and told them where the castle was, but they got to the castle, on the ferry too, the wrong ferry. They exchanged their euro for coins. In euro, so they got 5 euro coins.
Yeah,
and not the Witten, not ain't the old coins.
Yeah,
and then they got the directions to go to the castle. Got to the castle, realized they did not have the money they needed. So what did they do? Went back to the wrong ferry again and said, "You gave us the wrong money, and we're asking for coins." And they said, "No." Then they asked where the ferry was that they needed to go to, and realized they were on the wrong one, and finally made it to that ferry.
Yeah, so
that took the whole episode.
They did, and the whole a few teams drove by the ferry, whatever, blah blah.
A couple teams went on the wrong ferry too, but they realized it and figured it out
and went back.
Yep.
And then they realized they had to exchange money, and they were like, it's too late now, whatever. But they didn't
even read their clue to see what kind of money they were getting.
Right. They just said
they need to exchange their 5 euros for coins. They got coins, okay, but that's not what you needed.
Yeah, 5 paper euros for 5 coin euros, and it was. And then they went back to the guy and accused him of giving them the wrong money. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not going to be that hard. Like, it's not going to be and thinking about it, the fact that they said they're out-of-towners. Obviously, they were. I wonder how much they travel internationally, because when you travel internationally, there's exchanges for money everywhere you go.
Right.
You can exchange your money, especially if you're going, especially all throughout Europe. Mm-hmm. There's places to change your money. So, it's not going to be just a place to change money. It's going to be, a marked something amazing race, right? It's just, it was so many things that they did wrong. And like you said, they got basically through one challenge by the time everybody else had checked in. Like, you were kind of getting nervous, whatever, about, who's falling behind, whatever, but at the same time.
Because they were in the beginning. They were towards the beginning of the pack, and then they messed up right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And they messed up so egregiously. So I what's one of the biggest things and what did they do wrong? You said they didn't read the clue all the way. Mm-hmm. They just kind of, went with it.
They just knew they had to find a ferry, but they didn't recheck the name. They knew they needed coins, didn't recheck what the coins they were supposed to get.
They took it as like, well, and they said, what was my favorite part of the whole thing? When they got to get their coin exchanged by the wrong people.
Yeah.
They said, have you seen anybody else here?
Yeah.
No, you're the first. Oh, we're in first place. Woo! Nope, you're just the only idiots who did the wrong thing.
Exactly.
And did the wrong thing multiple times. And didn't fix it. Right. So they wanted the wrong, like I said, and you gotta think there's multiple ferries. You gotta think there's gonna be, it's gotta be something to stand out. They're not just gonna have you go up to some random person and have you change, But it was a huge, colossal error of a day, and they're saying, Germany beat us. You beat yourselves in a big way. You definitely beat yourself in a big way. It was not had nothing to do with anybody else beating anybody. It was them, their fault.
Yeah, well, they should have said that they were out of towners the first time they didn't. They got eliminated.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, it was rough. It was a rough leg for them, and like I said, it took, once they got to the castle with the wrong money and had to go all the way back to get the right money, the drama of the episode was gone.
Yeah.
Because you knew they weren't making it.
Yeah.
They could, and then
they can't catch up after that.
Right, the editing.
They couldn't have caught up even at that point.
Right, even at that point. And they said they've been decent at challenges, but that was, and they said they finished decently a few times. Right. But I knew they weren't going to last too much longer, and I just didn't expect to flame out quite like that. That was really, really insane and ridiculous. Mm-hmm. The editing tried to show, this team, they messed up something. They took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. They might get eliminated. It's like, yeah, but even if they went, halfway across the country the wrong way, they still have plenty of time to get back.
Right.
So it was quite a disaster. And so much for Team Philly. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and we didn't really talk about doing this, but let's do a quick power ranking of the final 7 teams.
Okay.
So, who do you think is most likely to be eliminated next?
I guess Joel and Garrett or Morgan and Lena.
Yeah, I would put them in that order for sure. And Morgan and Lena did decently, I think, didn't they? I mean,
no, they fell behind then too.
Okay. I couldn't really quite remember what.
Because they kept fighting and they were getting lost.
Yeah.
They couldn't find they really struggled with finding the parking garage to go to the carnival and everything.
That was a big part of it.
That's how people fell behind.
So I would say Morgan and Lena are probably the least likely to make it further, or at least likely to win, I guess, from this spot.
Yeah.
So I probably put them 7. And the only reason I put them 7 is because they just don't communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
They bicker all the damn time.
Yeah.
And then I would say, just based on where they are position-wise, and the fact that they're older, maybe, I don't know, I'd say maybe Garrett and Joel then, even though I like them, I'd say they're probably 6th.
Yeah.
5th, I think, is easy. Steve and Annalie.
Yeah.
They were fighting the whole episode 2. She was talking back to her dad a lot, and he was getting sick of her attitude, and for obvious reasons.
Right.
So I think they're the 5th best. I think they were since they've been, I think, honestly, since they got U-turned, they've kind of lost focus, and they've been just really angry and bitter and like not paying attention and not doing as well in the challenges. And like I said, they got U-turned, but I don't think it's because they were. I mean, they U-turned because they won a couple legs, but it's not that they were that good. They just kind of got a lead and maintained it for two episodes.
Right.
It's not like they were like going from the back to the front and just crushing the challenges.
Right.
They just kind of they had a couple good challenges and they stayed ahead, and that's why they won a couple legs.
Yeah.
I don't think they were the biggest threat to win by any chance.
No, but they had to take them down in order to make it happen.
Certainly. I'd say 4th is probably Robin and Chelsea, if not even lower than that.
Yeah, probably 4.
They're a very hot and cold. I think they can be really great. They can finish 2nd or even 1st, or they can finish last. And none of those outcomes would surprise me. There's some teams I would be really surprised if they went out next. Some teams I'd be really surprised if they won. Them I could see them winning. I could see them going out last. I would say going out next. I would say more likely they go out than win, but they're very high variance for sure.
Yeah.
So I kind of put them dead center for that reason.
Yeah.
And then we're at 3. So there's 3 left.
Yep.
Who do you think is the 3rd best left?
Between 2 teams.
Me too. I can tell you who I'm between. You can tell me if you're between the same 2 teams.
Probably the same teams. You can tell me.
I'm between Ashley and Todd. And Rob and Corey.
Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I would let's put Ashley and Todd there, 3rd. I think they're decent challenges. They don't seem to communicate. He's got a bit of an ego. He wanted to do the soccer kicking thing, though she's never played darts or kick a soccer ball. And he figured he could just muscle and do it himself, but he needed her assistance. And knew it was going to happen, so you should have listened to what she wanted to do.
I mean, they're really good at recovery.
They are good.
That's only one thing.
They are good. They run really hard in the wrong direction and then realize, oh crap, I ran in the wrong direction. Then they're fast enough to make it back the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're able to mess up and they're good enough to overcome it, like you said. That if they would focus and not mess up, they'd probably win.
Yeah.
My fear is that they are going to run out of real estate and mess up one too many times, and it's going to cost them. But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Robbie Corey are 2 at this point. Again, and there's no team who I'm like absolutely can't win, or I feel like absolutely will win.
Yeah.
Left. I mean, there's 7 teams left. I really don't see Lena winning in them.
No.
But aside from that, I can see really any of the 6 winning. There's really nobody I'm like, oh my god, no chance.
I don't know about Steve and Annalie either.
No, yeah, I don't think they're winning either. You're right. But
Greg and Joel. Or Joel and
Joel and Garrett. I could see it. I could see it. I know. I don't think they're not my top pick, but I can see it. There's nobody like a lot of times there's a team who's like just crushing everybody. They're like they win every leg of the race. It's just easy. There's really not been that this season. It's been very even.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But I think Corey and Robert, I can see them winning. But I think they're 2. And then Greg and John.
Yeah.
Have been doing the best. So.
Yeah.
I think they are the most consistent. They haven't really fallen too far back, and they've won enough to make them legitimate threats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I think that's our power rankings for this episode. Anything else to add? Or I think that's pretty much it. It was kind of the Survivor episode. It was a yada yada vote, and then another vote that was a little more interesting. This one, it was a lot of interesting stuff that happened, and then the thing that was meaningful was the giant mess up that you knew where it was going from the halfway point episode, right? The Survivor was the same way. It was two votes. First vote was obvious. Second vote had a little bit of drama to it, but again, it was over at halftime, right? Kind of like this one. This one was a lot of fun, cool things they're doing, but meanwhile, the one team was so far behind by their own mistake that it was over before the halfway through the episode. You already knew who was losing.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Cool. That was fun. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us again.
You're welcome.
We'll talk about the Amazing Race next week. I'll probably do Survivor again on my own until we're caught up. But we'll bring in for Amazing Race next time again if you'd like to join us again.
Sure.
Awesome. I know you're enthused, enjoying it.
So thrilled.
Overwhelmed with joy.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to be back from our vacation. Wish we were still there, but we get to talk to you on the internet, so it's better to be home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it. Be sure to subscribe if you miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can email us directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Tell your friends. Share the post. Anybody who's in Amazing Race, Survivor, or both, let them know what we're doing. Share the show. Get a little more traction as we go on. Obviously, we're going to try to get caught up. So if you do subscribe or you do follow the pages, you'll see it as soon as we get them out. So you don't have to worry about our timing being off with the episodes. Obviously, you're still a little bit behind, but we'll get caught up here eventually, even if it's after the finale is over of the shows. We'll get out to you. Especially if you're binging the show, you'll have it soon enough. Anything else to add?
Nothing else from me.
Cool. Well, I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.
Safe travels.